Hello, Professor. How are you?
Hello, David. How are you? I'm doing fine. How about you?
I'm doing fine. Long time no see. We've been really busy these days.
Yes, I had to make a trip to Peru, supervise my forestry project, but now I'm here with you again.
Yeah, that's perfect. I heard about your trip. I know you were doing a lot of important stuff. That's the reason why we stopped doing the 10 minutes talk for a week now. But yeah, last week we asked our followers on LinkedIn about what's the topic for this week, and everybody was agreeing on compound interest. We were talking about this topic before, just you and I, and you told me that compound interest is one of the most effective tools if you actually want to become like financially free and independent. And I would like you to explain a little bit more about this topic.
Thank you very much for that question, David. So, welcome to you back again to this 10 minutes talk with David Bahamon Mozos. I'm very happy to be with you here and just trying to explain what is this concept of compounding interest. Um, Something that I would say is that I would call it the power of compounding. So you
Mm.
actually know how to apply this not only to finance, not only to wealth, but to business or to knowledge. It could be a very, very powerful tool. So let's go to a definition. Yes, I found a definition on Investopedia. And basically, compounded is linked to interest. So we have this definition for compound interest. The interest on a loan or deposit calculated based on both the initial principal and the accumulated interest from previous periods. This is why so many people don't learn about finance, because when you read a definition like this, probably the majority of the people, they just get confused and they don't know what we're talking about. Yes. So before we move into our talk for today, I would like to show you a video, yes, that explain exactly what is this compounding definition, this compounded concept.
Einstein is reputed to have said that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world or something like that. And it goes back to that story you probably learned when you were in grade school where somebody did something for the king and the king said, "What can I do for you?" And he said, "Well, let's take a chessboard and put one kernel of wheat on the first square and then double it on the second and double it on the third." And the king readily agreed to it. And by the time he figured out what 2 to the 64th amounted to, he was giving away the entire kingdom. So it's a pretty simple concept, but over time, it accomplishes extraordinary things.
So this is the concept of compounding, is, and it's
Mhm.
basically using the same resources one time and another time and another time, and using what you have earned into add it to the principal and try to double what you had at the beginning. I think that it would be much better to make a calculation on Excel.
All right.
Yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a principal. The principal is, for instance, a capital. The capital that you have
Mhm.
right now to start any business or to start investing into any of the different alternative of investments that you have available, depending on your resources. So, but what I'm going to do here, for instance, is going to be a calculation to 5 years. Yes, and then
Mhm.
let's say that in year number one, we have 10,000. You could call it euros, dollars, or whatever currency, whatever you live. However, let's say that we have 10,000. Um, but before we get into the compounding interest rate, I'm going to talk about the simple interest rate. Okay, so when we talk about simple interest, what happens here is that every period we are going to earn some interest on the principal. Let's say
Mhm.
10,000 times 5%. This is going to be 500. Um, so what usually people do with this money is the interest of the capital is they will take it from the bank and spend it. Yes. So what is going to happen is that for the second year, you're going to have the same capital. Yes. And then again, you're going to spend it, and you will have 10,000 at the end of the second year, and that's going to happen as well for the third year, and you're going to spend it. But I mean, at the end of the year number 5, you will only have 10,000. Yes, because all the interest that you have earned in these years, you just spend it, or use it for different purposes, or you just put it in a different place, not in the same account. What is the idea of the compounding interest rate? Is that in compounding interest rate, let me change this, then we don't confuse our audience. Compounding. Yes. What we do is we earn this interest. Yes. So let's say that we invest money into any alternative of investment. Yes. And what's going to happen is that at the end of the year number 1, you'll have 10,500. 500 from the interest and 10,000 from the principal. And that's going to become the new capital to be invested in the second year. So here, for instance, we do the same calculation. Yes. And then we will have our previous capital. And this is going to be added to the second year, what is going to make your capital be higher every year. Then we do the same maths again. And then we add the principal. And we have this amount of money at the end of the year number 3.
It's more or less the power of being disciplined and not spending the money that you earn every single month.
Exactly. But then we know that for compounding, yes, our final total is 12,000 after 5 years. But for simple interest, simple, I just call simple, it's going to be 10,000 plus 5%, 5% times 10,000, because this is the amount of interest that you will earn for 5 years. Okay, and this is 12,500. Let's just do this. So it means that the difference between compounding and simple, it's 263 dollars, euros more in your bank account. However, for some of you, this 10,000 principal, 10,000 capital, it doesn't look much. You say, okay, but I'm not going to do almost anything with 263 euros or dollars more in my pocket. I prefer to spend it. But however, the idea is not to see this in short term. The idea is to see it in the long term. So what if you can save, or you can, you start from 1,000, then you move to 10,000 of capital, and then you move to 100,000 of capital. You see that the figures definitely will improve. Then what happens if you do it with 1,000,000? We just add one more zero here. It means that that's quantity of interest earned on interest, yes, will become exponentially bigger. So this is the power of compounding. If we go to the next slide, this slide shows more or less that for 10,000 invested in this example, it's a 5%. More or less in the year 15, you are going to double your money. Okay, but in the year 12, 15 plus 12, 27, you're going to triple your money. Okay, and then by the year 30, you're going to multiply by 4. You are going to accumulate 30,000 out of these 10,000 dollars or euros. Okay, how did I learn this? It took me years to learn this, by the way. Yes, and I put this into perspective, into an example for myself. 15 years ago, I planted a tree. The height was 50 centimeters and the width was 1 centimeter. But after 5 years, the height was 6 meters and the width was 30 centimeters. After 10 years, the tree doesn't fit in the picture. So the height was 12 meters and the width was 9 centimeters. And after 15 years, you can see the tree. The height it's more about less 20 meters and the width it's about 2 meters. Yes, so this also can be a definition of compounding, when you compare this concept with something related to business or something related to alternative of investments in anything actually. So for instance, if you have a company and you have profits, you can reinvest these profits into the company. This is like reinvesting the interest earned into your own company, that it will produce more to make you create more revenue, to have more profits that you can reinvest into the company. But the problem here is if you use these earnings for personal purposes or to spend the money. In the short term, it will give you a lot of benefits. You will feel very well, but probably you are consuming a little bit of your future wealth.
Of course, right. And the thing is, the keyword here is exponentially consume your future wealth, because as we saw in the previous graph and in this graph, the more money you spend over time, or as Warren Buffett says, every nickel that you save over time grows and multiplies itself for a lot of value. So I think the word here is discipline. You have to be really disciplined in order to actually apply this into the real life.
Yes, and another thought that comes to my mind is that being in the forest, I saw other owners that they are cutting the trees when the trees are 10 years old. This one here. While if they wait 5 more years, if they already waited 10, they can wait 5. They would have almost the double size of a tree. Okay, so if you see how trees grow with time, they grow exponentially.
Yeah, I think that this compound interest is really, really interesting for anybody who is actually looking to start investing. Maybe you don't have to have the huge amounts of money to invest, as long as you start just saving up whatever money you have left and whatever money you earn to reinvest it. With discipline, you can actually, in a matter of a long time, I think that in a matter of 10 or 20 years, have a considerable amount of money.
That's it. Yes, discipline to invest, but I would say as well, discipline to learn.
Yeah.
So you see, it's not a very difficult concept, according to the storytelling that we show with the video, or according to examples like this, or just getting the calculator and making the calculations and just try to learn how you can apply that into your own life using your own resources can help you to convert everything into compounding. So that's all for today. Let's see what's coming in next 10 minutes talk with you, David.
I have this interesting topic I want to talk about. Have you ever heard of smart contracts?
I did, indeed.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about it next week.
Okay, let's talk about smart contracts then next week.
Okay.
So, see you then.